Welcome to Iraqi Dinar News, where you receive real and authentic updates about the Iraqi dinar. If you want to stay informed with moment-by-moment developments, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Today, we are discussing one of the most frequently debated questions among Iraqi dinar followers around the world. Why does the Iraqi dinar continue to trade at approximately 4,300 dinars to $1 despite Iraq's significant natural resources and economic potential? This topic continues to generate intense discussion among economists, investors, and market observers because many believe the current exchange rate does not fully reflect Iraq's long-term economic capabilities. In today's analysis, we will examine the arguments surrounding this issue, what current political and economic developments could mean for the Iraqi dinar, and why official decisions from Iraq's government and the Central Bank of Iraq remain the most important factors to monitor. One perspective that continues to circulate among Iraqi dinar analysts is that the current official exchange rate of around 5,300 dinars per US dollar remains closely connected to Iraq's existing budget framework. According to this viewpoint, the exchange rate established in recent budget legislation has continued to serve as the government's official accounting rate, and any significant adjustment would likely require new political decisions accompanied by updated fiscal legislation. Supporters of this perspective argue that major monetary changes are unlikely to occur independently of broader government reforms, budget approvals, and institutional coordination between Iraq's executive authorities and the Central Bank of Iraq. While this interpretation is widely discussed within sections of the dinar community, it is important to recognize that exchange rate policy ultimately remains the responsibility of the Central Bank of Iraq, which evaluates a wide range of economic indicators before making monetary decisions. Political stability has always played a major role in shaping Iraq's economic outlook. Financial markets generally respond positively when governments are stable, budgets are approved on time, and economic policies remain predictable. Iraq has experienced years of political transitions, coalition negotiations, and institutional reforms, all of which can influence investor confidence. Many analysts believe that stronger political stability encourages domestic investment, attracts international capital, improves banking reforms, and strengthens Iraq's ability to implement long-term economic strategies. These factors do not automatically lead to changes in the exchange rate, but they can contribute to a stronger economic environment in which monetary policy decisions become easier to implement. Another important point frequently discussed is Iraq's enormous economic potential. The country possesses some of the world's largest proven oil reserves, significant natural gas resources, expanding infrastructure projects, growing trade relationships, and an increasingly active private sector. Oil revenues continue to represent the primary source of government income, providing billions of dollars that support public spending, infrastructure development, and foreign currency reserves. Beyond oil, Iraq has opportunities to expand agriculture, manufacturing, logistics, tourism, renewable energy, and digital banking services. Supporters of long-term economic reform argue that these assets provide a strong foundation for sustainable growth over the coming years. However, economists also emphasize that natural wealth alone does not determine a country's currency value. Strong institutions, fiscal discipline, inflation control, banking modernization, diversified economic activity, and investor confidence all play essential roles in supporting a stable national currency. This is why many financial experts encourage dinar followers to pay close attention not only to exchange rate discussions, but also to the broader economic picture. Developments involving government formation, federal budget implementation, banking sector modernization, anti-corruption measures, digital payment expansion, foreign investment, and international financial cooperation may collectively shape Iraq's economic future. Rather than focusing solely on speculation surrounding future exchange rate adjustments, understanding these broader reforms provides a more balanced perspective on the country's long-term direction. The Central Bank of Iraq continues to prioritize monetary stability, foreign reserve management, inflation control, and financial sector development, all of which remain critical components of Iraq's ongoing economic reform agenda. As discussions continue throughout the global Iraqi dinar community, it is important to distinguish between official announcements and market speculation. Various opinions and theories often circulate online regarding possible future exchange rate changes, but investors and followers should always rely on confirmed statements issued by Iraq's government and the Central Bank of Iraq before drawing conclusions. Responsible analysis requires separating speculation from verified policy decisions. That balanced approach allows observers to better understand how political developments, fiscal planning, and economic reforms may influence Iraq's financial future over time. As the discussion continues, another important argument often raised by commentators is that Iraq's economy today is significantly different from what it was 20 years ago. During the years following major conflicts and economic sanctions, Iraq faced enormous challenges that affected every aspect of its financial system. Rebuilding the country's institutions, restoring confidence in the banking sector, attracting foreign investment, and modernizing financial regulations have all required time and substantial resources. Because of this long rebuilding process, many analysts believe that evaluating the Iraqi dinar requires looking beyond a single exchange rate and instead examining the broader economic transformation taking place across the country. One of the strongest points frequently mentioned by economists is Iraq's financial strength through its energy sector. Iraq remains one of the world's leading oil-producing nations, exporting millions of barrels of crude oil each day. Revenue generated from these exports continues to provide the government with significant financial resources that support salaries, infrastructure projects, healthcare, education, and public services. High oil revenues also contribute to the country's foreign currency reserves, which play an important role in maintaining monetary stability. Strong reserves give the Central Bank of Iraq greater flexibility to manage liquidity, stabilize the currency market, and respond to economic challenges whenever necessary. However, experts also point out that relying heavily on oil alone creates vulnerabilities because fluctuations in global energy prices can directly impact government revenues and overall economic performance. For this reason, Iraqi policymakers have increasingly emphasized economic diversification. The long-term objective is to reduce dependence on oil by encouraging investment in agriculture, manufacturing, transportation, telecommunications, tourism, renewable energy, and technology. Diversification is considered one of the key foundations of a stronger and more resilient economy. If these sectors continue to expand successfully, Iraq could gradually reduce its exposure to oil price volatility while creating new employment opportunities and increasing domestic production. Such reforms may strengthen overall economic confidence, although their effects generally develop over many years rather than overnight. The modernization of Iraq's banking sector has also become an important part of the country's broader economic strategy. Over recent years, authorities have introduced measures aimed at improving financial transparency, strengthening anti-money laundering systems, expanding electronic payment services, and encouraging greater participation in the formal banking system. Digital banking, electronic salary payments, mobile payment platforms, and improved regulatory oversight are all viewed as essential components of a modern financial system. International financial institutions have repeatedly highlighted the importance of these reforms because an efficient banking sector supports economic growth, improves investor confidence, and strengthens financial stability. Another area receiving increased attention is foreign investment. International companies continue to monitor Iraq's energy projects, infrastructure development, industrial expansion, and reconstruction opportunities. Investors generally seek stable legal frameworks, transparent regulations, efficient banking services, and predictable government policies before committing long-term capital. As Iraq continues implementing reforms designed to improve the business environment, many observers believe the country could become increasingly attractive for regional and international investment. Increased investment has the potential to stimulate economic growth, generate employment, improve infrastructure, and expand productive capacity throughout multiple sectors of the economy. Supporters of long-term Iraqi economic development often argue that political stability remains one of the most important ingredients for sustained progress. When governments are able to pass budgets on schedule, implement reforms efficiently, and provide clear economic direction, financial markets generally respond with greater confidence. Businesses are more willing to invest, banks become more active in lending, consumers increase spending, and international partners often view the country as a more reliable economic destination. Conversely, prolonged political uncertainty can delay investment decisions, slow infrastructure projects, and create uncertainty within financial markets. This is why many analysts continue to follow developments surrounding government decisions, parliamentary activity, and national economic planning. Within the Iraqi Dinar community, discussions frequently focus on whether future government actions could eventually coincide with monetary policy adjustments. While many theories continue circulating online, responsible financial analysis recognizes that no official exchange rate change can be assumed unless it is formally announced by the Central Bank of Iraq. Monetary policy involves careful evaluation of inflation, foreign exchange reserves, liquidity conditions, banking stability, international trade, and numerous other economic indicators. Any future decision regarding the official exchange rate would likely consider these broader macroeconomic conditions, rather than relying on a single political event alone. For followers of the Iraqi dinar, the most practical approach is to monitor official developments, rather than react to speculation circulating on social media. Government budget announcements, central bank policy statements, banking reform initiatives, foreign investment agreements, and economic growth indicators all provide valuable information about Iraq's financial direction. These developments offer a more complete picture of the country's economic progress than rumors or unsupported claims. As Iraq continues pursuing reforms aimed at strengthening its economy, improving governance, and expanding its financial sector, observers around the world will continue watching closely to see how these efforts influence the country's long-term economic outlook and the future of the Iraqi dinar. Looking ahead, many analysts believe that the future performance of Iraq's economy will depend less on speculation and more on the successful implementation of structural reforms. Around the world, countries that have experienced long periods of economic transition have generally achieved stronger and more stable currencies only after improving fiscal management, strengthening financial institutions, expanding private sector activity, and maintaining investor confidence. Iraq is no exception. While the country possesses substantial natural resources and significant economic potential, transforming those advantages into sustainable long-term growth requires consistent policy implementation rather than short-term expectations. A frequently discussed topic within the Iraqi dinar community is the relationship between political developments and monetary policy. Some commentators argue that once a fully functioning government completes major legislative priorities, including the approval of future budgets and economic reform measures, the environment could become more favorable for broader financial decisions. Others believe that ongoing banking reforms, digital payment expansion, and modernization of financial regulations are equally important milestones that deserve close attention. Regardless of differing opinions, most economists agree that monetary policy works best when supported by political stability, disciplined fiscal management, and a healthy banking sector. These factors reinforce one another and help create conditions that support sustainable economic growth. Another important consideration is Iraq's growing relationship with regional and international financial partners. In recent years, Iraq has continued working to strengthen cooperation with international institutions, improve compliance with global banking standards, and expand financial transparency. These initiatives are designed to make Iraq's financial system more efficient, improve confidence among international investors, and facilitate cross-border trade. As Iraq integrates further into the global financial system, maintaining credibility and policy consistency becomes increasingly important. International businesses and financial institutions generally look for stability, transparency, and predictable regulations before making long-term commitments, making these reforms valuable regardless of future exchange rate discussions. Supporters of Iraq's long-term economic outlook also point to the country's young population and expanding domestic market. A growing workforce, increasing urban development, and rising demand for housing, transportation, technology, education, and healthcare all create opportunities for economic expansion beyond the oil sector. If supported by effective government policies and private investment, these sectors could contribute to stronger economic diversification over the coming decade. Diversification remains one of the key objectives repeatedly emphasized by economists, because reducing dependence on oil revenue can improve economic resilience during periods of fluctuating global energy prices. It is also worth remembering that exchange rates are influenced by numerous economic variables operating simultaneously. Inflation trends, productivity growth, trade balances, foreign direct investment, fiscal policy, foreign currency reserves, interest rate conditions, and overall market confidence all contribute to the value of a nation's currency. Because these factors evolve over time, significant monetary policy decisions are generally made carefully and gradually. For that reason, experienced market observers encourage followers of the Iraqi dinar to remain patient and focus on verified economic developments instead of reacting to every rumor circulating online. The claim that Iraq possesses enormous underlying wealth continues to be a common theme in discussions about the dinar. There is little doubt that Iraq is a resource-rich nation with significant oil reserves and considerable long-term economic opportunities.